The year is 1993. Video games were in a state of rapid evolution. The industry was shifting into the uncharted realm of CD ROM-based games, offering a new level of storage and potential. Enter Myst. Developed by brothers Robyn and Rand Miller under their studio Cyan, Myst emerged as an innovative experiment in interactive storytelling, ultimately becoming one of the best-selling PC games of the decade. The story of Myst begins with an enigma. As the game opens, you're greeted by a mysterious text, followed by the image of a book. This is no ordinary book, however. It's a linking book, a gateway to another world. The moment you touch the page, you're transported to the island of Myst, an otherworldly place that feels eerily abandoned yet brimming with secrets. At the heart of Myst's story are the brothers Cirrus and Achenar, and their father Atreus. Atreus, a master writer, has the ability to create new worlds, called ages, by crafting linking books, an idea inspired by the ancient Dini civilization. As you explore Myst Island and its surrounding ages, you gradually uncover the tale of betrayal and greed that led to the island's desolation. The storytelling in Myst is unique in that it's entirely player-driven. There's no linear narrative guiding you from one plot point to the next. Instead, you're left to uncover fragments of the story on your own. You learn about the characters and events through scattered journals, cryptic messages, and the environments themselves. Each age you visit tells a piece of the larger puzzle, and it's up to you to connect the dots. The ages themselves are some of the most memorable elements of Myst's world building. Each age is essentially its own self-contained world. There's the lush, swampy Channelwood age where you navigate through wooden pathways suspended above the water. There's the mechanical, steampunk-inspired Selenitic age, filled with whirring machinery and puzzling soundscapes. The Stoneship age is a haunting, waterlogged wreck of a ship frozen in time, while the fiery mechanical age feels like a fortress on the edge of oblivion. Each age is meticulously designed, not only to challenge your wits, but also to evoke a sense of wonder and unease. Perhaps the most striking thing about Myst's story is its ambiguity. The game doesn't spoon-feed you answers or tie everything up in a neat bow. Even the ending is left open to interpretation, depending on the choices you make. The story and world-building of Myst are inseparable. The game's narrative isn't told through traditional cutscenes or dialogue. It's etched into the fabric of its environments, waiting for players to uncover it piece by piece. This approach not only made Myst feel revolutionary in its time, but also gave it a timeless quality that continues to captivate players decades later. Myst is a masterclass in simplicity masking complexity. At its core, the game is a first-person point-and-click adventure, a genre that was relatively niche in 1993. The gameplay begins with an iconic setup. You're plopped onto Myst Island with no tutorial, no objectives, and only your curiosity to guide you. This lack of direction was intentional. The developers wanted players to feel like they were stepping into an unfamiliar world, learning its rules as they went. For some, this was a thrilling challenge. For others, it was an exercise in frustration. Either way, the game demanded patience and observation. At the heart of Myst's gameplay are its puzzles, which range from delightfully clever to maddeningly obtuse. These puzzles are often tied to the environments in ways that make them feel like an organic part of the world rather than arbitrary obstacles. For example, adjusting the rotation of a tower on Myst Island to align with various landmarks isn't just a test of trial and error. It's a way to engage with the island's geography and understand its layout. These puzzles often require multiple steps and layers of problem solving, and they don't hold your hand in the slightest. If you weren't prepared to jot down notes or spend time thinking through solutions, you were in for a tough ride. For many players, the game's open-ended nature and cryptic puzzles could be a double-edged sword. Some puzzles were so obtuse that they left players completely stumped, especially if they missed a crucial clue or failed to understand the logic behind a mechanism. This led to the infamous staring at the screen for hours experience that many Myst veterans remember all too well. Without the modern convenience of online walkthroughs, players had to rely on sheer determination, trial and error, or even collaboration with friends to figure things out. Perhaps the most polarizing gameplay feature of Myst was its complete lack of a traditional interface. There were no menus, no inventory screens, and no prompts cluttering the screen, just the game world itself. While this minimalism added to the immersion, it also meant that the game relied heavily on the player's memory and organization skills. If you found a code or a set of symbols in one part of the game, you'd need to remember where to use them later, often requiring players to take detailed notes by hand. Myst felt unapologetically old school, demanding that players rise to its challenges rather than accommodating them. Myst's gameplay wasn't about instant gratification. It was about the joy of discovery, the thrill of piecing together a story, and the satisfaction of solving puzzles through sheer intellect. If there's one thing Myst is universally remembered for, it's the way it pulled players into its world with an unparalleled sense of atmosphere. The game's visuals and sound design weren't just technological marvels for 1993. They were integral to the immersive experience that made Myst feel like stepping into another reality. Gaming was in the middle of a graphical evolution. Pixel art still reigned supreme in many games, but advances in hardware were opening the door to more photorealistic imagery. Myst was created using pre-rendered graphics, a bold choice that set the game apart. Each screen in the game was essentially a high-resolution still image, painstakingly crafted using 3D modeling software. These static images were then pieced together to create the illusion of a continuous world. While this slideshow-like presentation may seem quaint now, it was revolutionary at the time, offering a level of detail that few games could match. Myst Island and the game's various ages are breathtaking even by today's standards, thanks to the attention to detail in their design. Each location has its own distinct aesthetic and atmosphere, creating a sense of wonder every time you open a new linking book. While the visuals were groundbreaking, they weren't without their limitations. Because Myst relied on pre-rendered images, movement through the game felt a bit disjointed as each click transitioned you to a new static screen. This lack of fluid motion could make navigation feel awkward, especially when trying to retrace your steps or figure out where you had already been. Additionally, the fixed perspective occasionally made puzzles harder to interpret, as it wasn't always clear how different parts of the environment connected. Still, these limitations were a small price to pay for the sheer beauty of the game's visuals. While Myst's graphics established its visual identity, the sound design elevated its atmosphere to something truly extraordinary. From the moment you arrive on Myst Island, the game's ambient audio wraps around you like a warm, unsettling blanket. Composer Robyn Miller, one of the game's creators, crafted a minimalist score that ebbs and flows depending on the environment, often fading into near silence to let the sound effects take center stage. Each age has its own unique soundscape, designed to make you feel like you're really there. For example, on Myst Island you'll hear the gentle lapping of water, the creak of wooden structures, and the distant hum of machinery. In the Selenitic age, sound becomes an integral part of the puzzles themselves, with otherworldly tones guiding you through the terrain. The music, when it does kick in, is perfectly tuned to the game's tone. The tracks are atmospheric and moody, often leaning into haunting piano melodies or ethereal synth lines that complement the loneliness of the world. The sparse use of music makes it all the more impactful when it does appear, heightening moments of discovery or tension. The quiet solitude of the game is both peaceful and unnerving, as you constantly feel like there's something just out of reach, waiting to be discovered. When Myst launched in 1993, few could have predicted the seismic impact it would have on the gaming industry and beyond. It wasn't just a bestseller, it was a cultural phenomenon. It became the best-selling PC game of all time, holding that title for nearly a decade until The Sims dethroned it in 2002. By the end of the 90s, Myst had sold over 6 million copies across various platforms. Unlike most games of the era, which primarily targeted young male gamers, Myst appealed to a wide range of people, including adults, casual players, and those who had never picked up a game before. Myst helped legitimize gaming as a medium for all ages, paving the way for the broader acceptance of video games in mainstream culture. On a technical level, Myst played a crucial role in the adoption of CD ROM technology. At the time of its release, CD ROM drives were still a luxury, not a standard feature in personal computers. Myst showcased the potential of the format by delivering high-quality pre-rendered graphics, full-motion video, and ambient soundscapes, all of which would have been impossible to fit on floppy disks. Beyond gaming, Myst had a surprising cultural impact. It inspired novels, a graphic novel series, and even a TV show that was in development at one point. Its influence extended to architecture, design, and even education, with teachers using the game as a tool to encourage problem-solving and critical thinking. Few games have ever reached the level of mainstream recognition that Myst achieved, making it a true crossover hit that transcended the medium. Ultimately, the legacy of Myst lies in its ability to transcend time and remain relevant. It challenged the industry to think differently about what games could achieve and opened the door for new genres and audiences. Whether you loved it, hated it, or struggled with its puzzles back in the day, there's no denying that Myst changed the game, literally and figuratively.